Welcome back to Geometry Chapter 9, Section 1 in this book. In all last chapter we talked about similar things. Things that have the same shape but different size. It could be bigger, it could be smaller, but it's not congruent because it's not the same size, but it's the same shape. Where we're going in this chapter is we're going to learn excuse me, I drank water right before I started talking. Trig. Excuse me. And how we're going to learn trig is we're going to start talking about right triangles. And remember, if something is a right angle, it's a perfect plus. Each part of it is 90 degrees, or it's considered a right angle if it's a 90 degree, a perfect square corner angle. Sorry, water to the rescue there. Alright, so now how we're going to learn trig is we're going to talk about right triangles, ones that have one angle that is 90 degrees. And in particular right now, we're going to talk about similar right triangles, ones whose side lengths are proportional, okay? Now it turns out, and if we were in class all together, I would pass out index cards and make you do this, that if you take a right triangle and you draw a line for its height, it divides the triangle into three right triangles. There's the original one, which would be your piece of index card I would make you do this with. And then you've got a little right triangle and a medium-sized right triangle. So we have three right triangles and they're all similar. All are right triangles and all are similar, meaning that their sides are proportional and they all have the same angles. Okay? So here's an example problem of what we can do with this. Here is my right triangle. There's its height that divided it into a medium-sized right triangle and a little right triangle. I know that this side of my triangle is 5.5, this one is 3.1, and this one is 6.3. So what do we know about our three right triangles? For our big one, the biggest one here, then its hypotenuse is 6.3, that's the longest side, and its bottom is, I think of this as the bottom of it. I think of right triangles as sitting like that. So it has a hypotenuse, it has a bottom, and it has a back. Okay, that's how I think of them. A hypotenuse, a bottom, and a back. Okay, it's going to sit on the bottom on the little one. So for my biggest one, this is the bottom, that's the hypotenuse, and that's the back. And I didn't write it, I wrote its bottom and I wrote its hypotenuse, but we actually know that its back is 5.5. Okay? For our middle-sized triangle, we have the hypotenuse of it is 5.5, and we have the height right here, and that height is its bottom. We don't know what its back is. It's because this whole thing is 6.3 and the back of the middle one only goes to there. And then for the smallest one, we know its hypotenuse is 3.1. We don't know its bottom, but we know its back is the height. So we could solve for height because we have the hypotenuse in the bottom of the big one. So we can put the bottom on top and the hypotenuse on bottom. So, and then we can compare that. I'm going to write that down. This is the bottom and that's the hypotenuse. And then we can take this one, and in the middle size one, the bottom is h and its hypotenuse is 5.5. And because we know they're similar, we know this is a ratio and we can cross multiply and solve for h. So 3.1 times 5.5 and h times 6.3, divide both sides by 6.3, and you get the height is about 2.7. It really drives me crazy that they give you that for a problem. I would like it to have worked out neatly and not be an about one. You know, it's our very first problem we're learning. Can't we have found one that's got nice even round numbers? But anyway, so here's another one. This is like a little fact about how all this works, okay? So here I have one, and it divides it into our little triangle right there, our medium-sized triangle right here, and our biggest triangle, which I didn't draw. But you will notice that the height is the back of the littlest triangle, and it's the bottom of the middle-sized triangle. The height is not a side in the biggest triangle. I'm still choked on water and blueberries I was eating, and I probably have blue teeth. Do I have blue teeth? My blueberry bush is covered in big, delicious blueberries. But I shouldn't eat them right before I start taping. Alright, so we can set up a ratio of these. The bottom of the little one is BD, and the back of the little one is CD. It's the height. The middle-sized one, the bottom is the height, CD, and the back is AD, right there. Notice that what is the back of the little one is the bottom of the middle-sized one. It's the same. And if you remember, those are called the geometric mean. And remember, they can be switched. Well, they could definitely be switched here. They're the same thing. And remember, these are called the extremes. Do you remember that from Algebra 1, pre-algebra, and earlier this year? Okay. So, if not, today's a good day to learn it. Alright, so here's another one. So the small one and the middle one share the height, that red line. Also, the biggest triangle and the smallest triangle share that line. It's the hypotenuse of the littlest triangle. It's the bottom of the biggest triangle. So we can put, on the smallest triangle, we can put the bottom on top, the hypotenuse on bottom. And for the big one, we put the bottom on top, the hypotenuse on bottom. And once again, it's the same thing. So it's the geometric mean. So we can use that to set up our ratios and solve it. So for this one, I've got the back over the bottom. So here is the back of this triangle. Here's the bottom of it, X, this middle-sized triangle. And for the littlest one, here's the back, there's the bottom. I cross multiply and solve for X. X times X is X squared. 6 times 3 is 18. Square root both sides to solve for X. And I have a 2 and 2 3s. And remember, how you get out of jail, it's Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane from Batman, is you dissolve your twin in acid, you get in the body bag, and play dead and out you go. This one doesn't have a twin, it's got to stay in jail. So the answer is 3 times the square root of 2. 2's in jail, 3 got out. Alright, so here's another one. This one, we turned it this way, but notice this is still the height. And we just turned it over where the big triangle is laying on its back now. For each of these triangles, I can put the bottom on top and the hypotenuse on bottom. So for my little triangle, the bottom is 2, the hypotenuse is y. For my big triangle, the bottom is y, the hypotenuse is 5 plus 2, which is 7. It's that whole line. So I can cross multiply and solve for x. Y times y is y squared. 2 times 7 is 14. Take the square root of both sides. Y equals the square root of 14, because 14 is made out of 2 and 7, no twins, nobody gets out of jail. So the other thing is, this is where we're going with all of this is trig. And there was a problem that I meant to tell y'all in the other one, where you take a mirror, maybe I did tell you, and you lay it down and you can tell how tall a rock wall is, and nobody does that. How you're going to learn to do that is this chapter with trig. And you're going to do a little activity where you go outside and measure something tall. Alright, so come back and we'll learn more about right triangles and eventually trig. Fancy math. How fun is that? Math is great.